So hello and welcome to my Nagoriyuki pressure guide. In this guide I want to talk about what Nago's game plan is and how its general pressure works. So first of all you have to know that Nagoriyuki is a strike throw character, which means that for mix-ups he mainly relies on setting up situations in which your enemy has to guess whether you're gonna strike or whether you're gonna throw. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. And there are 4 main moves to set up these kind of scenarios, in my opinion. And these moves are power slash slash, spin, clone, and normal Fukyo. But Fukyo is a little more complicated. And I'd start off with power slash slash, which is rather simple. So after power slash slash, he auto cancels the Rekka and you can go for command grab, which can be interrupted. So you have to condition your opponent to respect it first. So what you do to do it is you set up frame traps. Let me put him on counter attack real quick. So first of all, the first frame trap, which I wouldn't really recommend unless you have meter, is power slash slash slash. You can see here it frame traps naturally and is a nice way of checking button, but it's punishable on block and rather risky. So what you'd usually do is like use it and then RC to keep yourself safe and keep up pressure. So if you have meter, go for it. If you don't, I'd not recommend it. The next frame trap is power slash slash spin, which is a nice frame trap, and spin is one of the moves that also sets up the strike throw, so it can end up in very good pressure, but it costs a little bit of blood, which some people might not like, but it's a very good frame trap. So I'd recommend using that if you have the blood to spend. And like the one I'd recommend the most is back Fukyo. So wait, I have the wrong attack. Because if you back Fukyo and then immediately press forward, you almost get no backward momentum. And also back Fukyo after certain buttons is plus. So back Fukyo after every H normal is plus. So it lets you set up very long and annoying pressure, and it basically forces your opponent into doing something, because if he doesn't, you can just keep up pressure kind of forever. Do that or whatever, like you can keep up pressure for a very long time with back Fukyo. And back Fukyo is basically your go-to I want to beat out a button and bait it tool after everything. So it's very good to conditioning your opponent to not pressing something and making them scared of doing so, and then abusing the fact that they're scared and starting to use your command grab. So the second move I want to talk about is spin, which is a frame trap in itself if you use it in a string. In some scenarios you might have to delay it a little bit, but it usually frame traps naturally. And as you can see here, it's a frame trap, and it sets up another frame trap on its own, because once again you can back Fukyo. You can also, which costs quite a lot of blood but gives you like a very big reward. So I'd recommend it if you're used to handling blood pretty well. So I wouldn't recommend it in the beginning, but if you think you are pretty good at handling blood and know how to get around it, it's a very strong frame trap. Spin into 236H, which once again, wait, not bad. Cost a lot of blood, as you can see. You have to delay the 603H. That's why I fucked it up right there. It also takes some practice, but it's very good. Yeah, those are your go-to frame traps with spin. You can also, if the enemy gets kind of scared to press a button, or press a button that's a little more slow, you can also always just press the button after spin in itself, because spin is neutral on block. That means that it's very safe, and you can also just do something like spin close slash if they get scared of pressing something, and like maybe not commit to the grab but still keep up pressure, which is also good. So you can do something like this, and that is also pretty scary. Or just go for the throw if they respect you enough. And if you throw, you can spend a lot of more blood again, and you can set up more mix. In general, with Nago, it's the more blood you have, the more freedom you have to use your blood moves, and blood moves are usually the ones that let you set up strike throw situations very easily and very freely. So try to use blood in a meaningful way. Don't waste it, I'd say. If you use blood to set up a strike throw and get the throw, you can just repeat the entire thing. Yeah. The next move I want to talk about is Clone. So Clone is plus on block, which is very good in itself. So it lets you set up a strike throw freely. Again, you can just clone Fukyo and grab, or clone Fukyo and press. So you can basically use clone of any button, but be aware that clone can be jumped or DP'd on block, since it has a pretty big gap. Or pretty big might be an overstatement, but there is a gap, which you have to be aware of. But otherwise, clone is very good. You can, as I said, break up this strike throw. Let me put him on counter real quick. So there you press something and die for it. And if you get scared because you're plus, you can just go for grab. Which is very good. Clone costs quite a lot of meter, but lets you set up strike throw in the easiest and most free way, in my opinion. So it's a good tool, to just be aware to not overuse it, since it's gonna wreck blood pretty quick, and the more you use it, the less scary it gets. The next layer of clone mix-up is 5k tick throw. If you don't know what that is, it's basically, as you can see, if I'm in his face and 5k, I can't command grab afterwards, right? But if I Fukyo in, I can 5k into command grab, which is very good. And the thing is that clone lets you set that up perfectly, as you can see. So basically he has to guess 2 times in a row. He guessed that you're gonna strike in the beginning because he blocked, and yeah, he blocked the 5k, but after the 5k he has to guess again, because you can either 5k command grab, or you can 5k frame chop. 5k is a very good move in general, because it gives you a lot of frame chop options, like 5k 6k, 5k 6h, and they have a bunch of rewards. So let me set him on counter attack. Maybe use a move that's a little slower. So yeah, that's something you can set up off clone. As you can see, I'm gonna wait, what am I doing? Yeah. So 5k tick throw, he has to guess 2 times in a row of 1 clone, which is very ridiculous in my opinion, because it gives you so much options just of using a single special move. But yeah, that's very good. So, and the last move I wanted to talk about was Fukyo in general, which is pretty hard to explain in general. You're just gonna have to kind of get creative with it. So, as I said earlier, like, back Fukyo is your main way to make people scared of pressing anything, right? And once people are like actually afraid of pressing buttons, you can just sometimes kind of get in a cheeky Fukyo, like here or something, and like get in a command grab, if you have conditioned them properly. especially since back Fukyo after H normals was plus. So most people expect the back Fukyo to more pressure after an H normal. So you can sometimes just kind of do 6H into command grab or something, which is very good. And as I said earlier as well, like spin frame traps in itself, so you can kind of do that to make them not want to press. And once you got them there, well, my bad. And once you have them to not press, you can just kind of do something like that sometimes, which is again very good. So with Fukyo, you're just gonna have to kind of get creative. What I like to do sometimes is again make people afraid of pressing, and then do something like that, or just do some stupid stuff, because they always have to be afraid that you're going to something like spin or something, which naturally frame traps. And if they're scared enough, you can just kind of reset pressure with Fukyo always. It is something a little risky to do, since good players will just mash out most of the time, because there is a pretty significant gap. I think it's -8 or -10 or something if you Fukyo in. But you have to back Fukyo for that. So again, you at a safe distance with your regular normals with back Fukyo, and after H normals you plus. So they're just gonna have to be afraid most of the time. And even if you're like very far away, you can get in pretty fast if you're kind of cheeky. Because like spin is ridiculous to force pressure, and also just kind of Fukyoing in works pretty well. So yeah, I hope I was able to like kind of clarify how Nago wants to pressure. I didn't go too in depth, because that would like kind of go too far, and like there's a lot of stuff you can do with Nago. I just kind of wanted to explain how Nago's pressure work, how you can set up certain scenarios that are basically always in your favor, and how to force guesses and pressure as well. So I hope the video was able to help you a little bit, and thank you for watching.